Piers Morgan is an absolute scumbag. That is quite a one-liner to start a video with. I wasn't going to do a video today. I've been feeling really shit, but I'm watching Piers Morgan Uncensored with Candace Owens, Conspiracy to Smear. And it's taken Piers Morgan 1 minute and 10 seconds in which to overstep someone's boundary. Candace Owens has asked, as it goes on, she goes on to say, has asked not to speak about Kanye West prior to Piers Morgan Uncensored this time around. And he's completely ignored that and asked her anyway. You can tell he touches his nose, he's looking down, body language expert. You need not be in order to see through that scumbag bullshit. And what he did to Paul Gascoigne, tapping his phones, sending Paul Gascoigne doolally, basically, put him under undue stress, tapping his phone, yeah, and Love Island girl, Piers Morgan. And don't forget, like, if you haven't clocked already, the people that pay Piers Morgan to look like he's a champion of free speech are the same people that run the media that manipulates everybody else. So I purposely try not to speak about people on this channel. I try not to say brand names. I try not to say people's names. And Piers Morgan, I just can't get my head around the karmic payback that he's going to have to face at some point. I mean, I don't know what goes on in his personal life, but like, he's just sell your soul to the devil type kind of guy. And I just have so much disdain for people like that. He pushes narratives. He just lays it on thick. He's a bitch. He is, he's a bitch. He's a puppet and a bitch. And he's clearly some sort of psychopath or at the very, very least a narcissist, but more than likely a sociopath of some sort. And he's got to be... If you hear the full story about Paul Gascoigne and the phone tapping, and then how that interfered in Gazza's life, and then what the roads that led him down, after Gaza was already struggling, it is heartbreaking. And the Candace Owens example here is obviously so minor in comparison, but it's like purposely, knowingly stepping over people's boundaries. And I've been around sociopathic people. I've been around, probably more than likely sociopathic. I always thought narcissistic, but now I'm sort of starting to think, well, that it might even be worse than that. Not worse, more intense than that. Can't think of the right word. Severe. And yeah, also Ronaldo's probably one as well. The funny thing about psychopaths is they never stay in one place for long, and they often can be very high achievers. That's why it's kind of a dog-eat-dog world, I guess, in a certain sense. That might be very much why, and how they rise in capitalism, because probably the leaders of capitalism are probably them as well. Because you'd have to be able to hurt anyone to get to the top, so then the people that get to the top, who end up having the most money, end up being having the least empathy. But yeah, I wouldn't, if he was on fire, I wouldn't wee on him. I mean, obviously I would, I'd save his life, but at the same time, like, he wouldn't deserve it. Well, everyone deserves it, but just not. I wouldn't get on my credit card list. Wouldn't get on my Christmas card list. Just terrible, like. And then people watch it, and he builds up all this fluff and pushes narratives, but then he pushes narratives against people that are pushing counter narratives. He's just a big puppet bitch. Yeah, terrible, 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 terrible dude. Really, 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 really dark inside soul type vibes. Like, not a good person. But then if I roll that back, that's actually probably, he was probably hurt a lot as a kid and he's just messed up. Because that seems to be, from my understanding, where people with with low empathy, where it stems from, is having a really shitty childhood. And I think actually we've probably got a lot wrong. We think so much in terms of data, science, prove, and like, as much as science is the humanistic conceptualization of what's going on in and around us, and it's very good at working stuff out, but it isn't perfect. And I think we are very entitled to think that science is bigger or better than the God. However you, a people of faith, view your God, whatever that is. Yeah, I think it's misguided to suggest that atheism has all the answers. I heard an argument for atheism was that in a world where we started again, all of the religious texts would come back, and they would all come back differently over the course of time. Whereas all the scientific texts would come back exactly the same, because it's provable, apparently. This is a comedian that said this. It's provable. Well, if that was the case, and we do know everything, and we are the first civilization, advanced civilization, then why can we not explain the pyramids? That was a microphone. That was me dropping the microphone. Yeah, we're super entitled. I think we're force-fed a load of shit, load of stuff. It's not true. By the people that run this system. And I think that we celebrate money and fame. And I think that's probably pushed on purpose for an end goal, which is more than likely self-serving control, and probably by a few groups of people that have either lots and lots of problems, or, yeah, as a scientific way of explaining it, psychopaths. I had it when I saw my missus in bed with the baby, when he was very, very young, less than 1, and a number of occasions I would wake up next to them, because he was in our bed, and they'd be in exactly the same position. And you might say, oh, that's just a coincidence, but I don't think there are any coincidences. And I think that it wasn't a coincidence. I think that we live in a world that is about energies and about vibrations and about spiritual side. And I think science is very, very clever. And I think it answers I think it's very good at working out what all of this is. I don't think it has all the answers. And I think that we are blinded by it. And I think that there's a plant for every ailment, probably. And I think that's probably why they were put there. And I also think that I've lost my trail of thought. What was I talking about? The plants and there being an ailment. Yeah, I think that it's all spiritual. I think we've completely lost sight of spiritual. I think organised religion has destroyed faith, has destroyed the public perception of faith. The public perception comes from the media and comes from people abusing systems of power. I think there are probably numerous, what's the word for it? I think that there are probably numerous institutions that purport to be godly, and I was just anything that purports to be godly is probably not. But I also think that organized religion and faith are not in any way the same thing, and that power corrupts, and there are lots of people that make their way into positions of power by lying and using disingenuous means, which might lend itself to the earlier things I was talking about in the video, and that's how they rise up the ranks, by lying and cheating and dog-eat-dogging. And I think that there's a possibility that there's a shift happening, a positive shift happening in human consciousness, and that is going to be very positive. And also, I think there's going to be lots of questions answered in the next few years, and I don't think they're going to be along the lines of the narrative that we've been spun or led to believe, or at least I've been led to believe over the course of my nearly 35 years here. I know I didn't look 35. Unless I do, then fuck me, right? But no, I think there is a positive shift in human consciousness. I think that doors are opening, cosmically, whatever you call it. I think that we are on the verge of an amazing breakthrough. I think there's a lot of positivity coming. There's a lot of things to be shaken up. And I think in the next, the next 10 years, I think we're going to really see a monumental shift in the understanding or the attachment that we have to the things that we've been told. There is a school of thought that says the schooling system was set up by certain families that had ulterior motives rather than to educate. There is a school of thought that, I think it's widely known that the school system was set up by the Rockefellers, which are one of the rich families that owned the United States. And I think that it's probably done on purpose. And I think it was probably done on purpose to keep the rich people rich and the poor people poor. And I think the rich people don't want the poor people getting rich. And I think that through the media, we are manipulated to be incredibly frivolous with our money. Anyone out of the elite class, anyone within the elite class, I suppose, can afford to do it. But I guess anyone out of it, more specifically middle class and working class, we are encouraged through society to blow through cash because we're fucking ballers, bro. And I think that's what the rich, the people with the money at the top don't want us challenging them. And I think they don't want us challenging them because then that threatens their control. And even though there's enough of the pie to go around, for me, it seems like there's absolutely no problem. It's probably to do with uprisings, preventing uprisings. It's probably to do with greed and sin. And I would suggest that we are at a tipping point. Thank God. And that in future, the marginalised won't be marginalised anymore, and we're going to get out of this system of division and individuality, and we're going to realise that we're all one and the same. We're all cut from the same cloth. You cut us all open, we bleed red. It doesn't matter what colour your skin is, Because even colours are ideological labels. Like, who's to say that is actually yellow? Who said that was yellow? Who said that was yellow? Who said that that was black? Also, if that's black, not put someone with brown skin. Oh, it's not even the same. No, I'm joking. But, like, who's to say that button is green? Who says that button's green? Oh, I say that button's pink. That green one there. I think that one there, the one that says B on it, I now say that that's pink, and there's nothing that anyone can do to say any different. And this is the flaw with the woke ideology. Like saying I identify as whatever it is. Alright, well, I identify as the king of the world. And if you tell me that I'm not, I'm very, very upset and offended, and you can't say that. Because what I realised is, because I wrote a comment about how overweight, the fat shaming thing, fat shaming shouldn't be demonised. Obviously, it's nice to be nice, and everyone we are all the same, but focusing primarily on overweight being unhealthy, which it is, it therefore shouldn't be glamorized. And my point was, on Instagram, that that was the case. Being overweight is unhealthy, and it shouldn't be glamorized because it's unhealthy, and people are going to die from it. Isn't that the biggest killer in the world of anything? So, don't get me started on why that might be. But my point was that it's unhealthy and it shouldn't be glamorized. And then someone said, "You have no right to comment on what anyone else looks like." And this is the problem with the left, in inverted commas. This is the problem with the fascist side of that, whereby it becomes hypocritical and counterintuitive. It's not liberal at all. And what I mean by that is, well, I'll go on to explain the story of this conversation. And this person said to me, "You don't have the right to comment on someone else's appearance." And I said, well, speaking from personal experience, when I was very, very overweight, I'm overweight now, but I was even worse before. I was in a world of pain. And the reason why I started to lose weight, and the reason, the big Kickstarter for me was a comment of someone. Said I looked like Andy Ruiz, this overweight Mexican boxer. And it hurt my feelings. I was like, fucking hey. And there were some other ones. Someone said, anyway. There were a few nasty comments that then sunk in, and I was like, do you know what? I've actually got to do something about this. And there was that, as well as drinking too much and a terrible, terrible hangover. But at that point, I was like, do you know what? Yeah. And it was those comments that sunk in, and that's what led me to losing weight. So while I appreciate that it's not nice to hear it, it also doesn't mean that it's not beneficial. It's almost like the truth hurts, doesn't it? So anyway, I commented that on I didn't comment that on Instagram, but I commented this person, and she said, "You have no right, someone that looks like that." So first she said, "You don't have any right to comment on anyone else's appearance." And I said, well, perhaps it's the people that we don't expect are the ones that offer us the best mirrors to then us look at ourselves, and then we can benefit from it in the long term, right? And she said, well, you can't comment on what someone else has said. And I said, well, maybe the support network around the person that's overweight doesn't feel like they can say to that person, you're going to die sooner because you're really big and it's clogging your arteries or whatever it is. And I said that to her. And then she said, someone that looks like you, like that, in capital letters, shouldn't comment on someone else's appearance. And I said, do you know what I said? I said that she shouldn't try and censor what I say, and that's far worse. I gave the example about how I lost weight through the negative comment that then it's not even negative, that's a subjective, that I then perceived, and then I did something about it. She was trying to censor what I was saying, which is why the left is more fascist than anything ever. And I said, you can't tell me what I can and can't say. That's way worse. You're trying to control me and control what I can and can't say. That's far worse. And not only is it far worse, she also completely, I presume it was she, he, she, they, whatever, I don't know. Anyway, she says, you look like that and you can't comment. So I was like, not only have I not commented on anyone in particular in a direct sense like that, you've had a go at me for something and then done the thing you've had a go at me for. And then you're still trying to make me out to be the bad guy. When all I'm saying is that it's unhealthy and it shouldn't be glamorized. So, I can't remember how I got onto this point, but it shouldn't be glamorized. And the left is very fascist now. And, yeah, man, everyone should be loved and happy and proud of who they are. But at the same time, we shouldn't be celebrating things that are not healthy. Oh, and she said something about, well, in that case, then, if you're going to say that overweight people shouldn't be overweight, then you should stop people from doing drugs and drinking and driving places, she said. And I said, well, yeah, I agree. People should stop drinking and they should stop doing drugs, like I have. And I agree that that would be a beneficial thing to demonize rather than glamorizing being overweight. Like, can we not just take a second and be like, hang on a minute? And this is what I talk about zooming out and looking at things objectively. So it's okay for someone that considers themselves to be left and liberal to try and tell me what I can and can't say. And I keep losing my trail of thought because I'm tired. You know what I'm trying to get at? So it's not okay to try and censor what anyone says. Oh yeah. You're going to tell me what I can't say. Try and tell me what I can and can't say. You're going to be a hypocrite. I've lost train of thought again. Fuck me. And also, why are we glamorizing fat, like overweight fat bum bum? Why are we glamorizing that? Why are we not demonizing taking drugs? Why are we not demonizing drinking? Why are we glamorizing being overweight and not demonizing things like trying to censor what I can say or what anyone can say? Can you imagine, right, if you try to censor now in the public sphere, you can't say that you're trans anymore? This is an example. I don't care what everyone calls themselves, really. Do whatever you want. But, alright, you're not allowed to say that you're trans now, or you're not allowed to say that you identify as a whatever it is. I don't know. I was going to say cat, but I didn't want to be rude because it sounds like I'm trying to ridicule it, and I'm not. I'm trying to make a point. So, what if I say that you can't say that? What if I try and censor what you're saying? I don't think that you would like that. I think that would cause absolute outrage. Okay, but it's outrageous for... It's not outrageous for you to try and censor what I say, but if then I try and do it to you, let's say, playing out an example, then I'm, I don't know, anti-Semite, or I'm a fat shamer, or I'm transphobe, or I'm an anti-vaxxer, or... But then if I try and do it the other way round, if I were ever to dare to try and do it the other way around, or say to someone about the sexuality, about pride, the ideological label of trans is a better example because it's an ideological label that's new. But then the same thing. Well, all right. Well, I'm the king of the world, and there's absolutely nothing that anyone can do or say about it, and you can't question me either. Otherwise, you're a kingophobe. You're free speechophobe. I don't know, but you can see that these are muddy waters. Right, why am I not why? Surely there must be other people that can see that these, not on the surface level muddy, underneath it, it's all hypocritical. It's all pushed by the media. Just take a second to think about what I've just said. Where do we as society get our ideas from? I've seen in my whole life 2, possibly 3 trans people. Yeah, all I hear about on the TV for the last 5 years is transphobe. Well, it's not all, obviously, I'm exaggerating, but there's a big thing in society now, isn't it? Like, obviously, I don't really hang around, well, anywhere other than my own house, really. But I did before. I didn't see any trans people. I saw one in Germany, one that worked at KFC, and I think one that might work at the market, but I don't know if it's a boy or a girl or what they consider themselves. So why is it such a big deal? I've never really spoken about it to anyone because I don't have any friends that think they're trans or say that they're trans. So why is it such a big deal? Telly. Right. Well, that's an interesting concept, isn't it? So if you can extrapolate that concept out, that's a really good example. The trans thing. I would consider myself fairly normal. I live in a big northern town, which is kind of city vibes. I don't really know any. So why is it such a big deal? Well, no, why is it so... Well, yeah, why is it such a big deal? Why is it that there's a noun for it? Transphobe, whatever it is. Why is there not a noun for censoring things? Okay, well, maybe the fascist left then become freedom phobes. Like you're against freedom of speech or you're against freedom of thought. But then this is why I say the left are fascist. You can say whatever you want about what you are, and no one can question you. And no one can question you. That's fascist, isn't it? Maybe I don't understand what a fascist really is, but I mean, at the very least, it strikes me as unreasonable. And also, where's this come from? I've never heard about it. 5 years ago, there weren't. Honestly, 10 years ago, there weren't any. They were called transvestites. There wasn't like a thing. 10 years ago, there wasn't any. Well, there didn't appear to be any. And even now, I still don't see them. And I'm only hooking onto the trans thing because I'm trying to illustrate a point that narratives are pushed in the media. It doesn't bother me what anyone wants to do or call themselves, as long as we're being sort of respectful and courteous and helping others and like a good person. Like, it doesn't bother me what anyone does behind closed doors at all. Whatever you want to put in and around your mouth, I have absolutely no qualms with that. Just don't try and put any near mine. Again. I shouldn't joke about that. I don't care where you want to put your willy. Just don't put it near my mouth again, please. It's so bad. Oh God, I'm feeling better from yesterday then. Stupid. But right, like, also there were hardly any gay teenagers when I was growing up, and I see loads of them now, and it's like, are there more gay teenagers? And it's not a problem if there are genuinely more gay teenagers at all. But like, if it wasn't for the messaging you were receiving through the media and the TVs, would there be more gay teenagers? That's where I have a problem with it. I don't care about what anyone does or what the thing is. It's just the fact that I don't think that these things would be happening if we weren't being manipulated by the media. That's where I have problems with stuff. It's like the whole misogyny thing. I've seen what misogyny looks like up close. My wife is from a hugely, like, the most misogynistic culture there is probably on earth. Like, and it's hurt her. It's like, she's super hyper vigilant to it, and I don't blame her. But like, the UK isn't one at all. Like, it's the most absurd. To me, it's one of the most absurd things that they've with the narratives that's been ever been pushed. And if you've lived in the UK and only lived in the UK, I can understand why that would be easier to see it differently. But if you've lived in another culture where it's like it is more so that way, or of a culture that's very like that, then it's just like you can zoom out and look at objectively and be like, this is like blatant lying. And I'm just noticing more and more in the media. I barely watch it, to be honest. I watch YouTube and stuff, but I select what I watch. And I don't watch the news and stuff. I realised ages ago that the news was all programming. I mean, like, like for a good example, the COVID vaccine scaremongering. Where's the death rates now? I know obviously because the vaccines have sold everything, so that's what. It's just like I realised that I can't even watch my old films and stuff now. I find it on the music. Music's an awful one. All the music I used to like as well. Try and go back and listen to it, and it's just like I mentioned the Avril Lavigne one recently and the Wheatus one. Music for teenagers that's talking about sucking dicks and shagging and letting go of your virginity, and it's all subliminal messaging to make us like little rabbits as youngsters. I don't know. I guess there's been really big things at play for the people that had control of the West or the States or the States and Europe or however far their reach went. And I think that they've known for a long time that they're running out of natural resources and there's an overpopulation problem, and they've set about achieving their goal of trying to hold on to power. I think that's exactly what 9/11, why that was an inside job, because they had to go over and steal oil. I think that's exactly why the Middle East call us, they call us the infidels or whatever. I understand why that would make someone very angry. I just think there's a possibility that we are the bad guys. And then I was like, no, surely not. I mean that obviously is a massive overgeneralization, but what if we were born on the wrong side of history? What if we were born into a system that just lies and manipulates? And then it's like, how far does the lying and manipulating go? But then it's also, how far is it healthy to go into it and look at and try and figure the truth out? When do you need to just stop and roll with the punches? And that's kind of where I got to a few years ago. I stopped watching all the 9/11 as a good example, all that kind of stuff. I just stopped. I was like, look, it's fucked. There's nothing we can do about it. But now I can see that I do feel there's a felt sense that there is a changing of times, and I honestly believe that in the next few years, so much stuff's going to come out about like conspiracy theories not being conspiracy theories, getting proved right away. And the term conspiracy theory was created by the CIA. I remember reading, I was deep in this rabbit hole, as my friend keeps calling it annoyingly to me, at university, but loads of this stuff's been taken off the internet. I read a paper about how the term conspiracy theory was created by the CIA to pigeonhole and box together any anti-establishment theory. And then, because if you think about it, if someone refers to a conspiracy theorist or a conspiracy theory, you automatically in your head think, or at least most people think, it's my understanding that most people think that a conspiracy theory is someone that's maybe unhinged, someone that's not, that you shouldn't share that opinion, it's not right, it's almost like demonized to share that opinion. But like, man, I just must have caught this wave right at either the worst or best possible moment, where the internet had obviously come. There was so much more readily available information on the internet, because I was 10 in 2000. So like as the internet was growing up, so was I. So I had when the internet was more unregulated, when there was less censorship, when there was less control over what was on it, when there was more readily available information about everything, for good and for bad, in inverted commas, I was balls deep into it. So it's this really weird, and then because I was balls deep into it, now if I've ever tried to research it since, like, it's not there. And like I've got a fairly good memory, so like, yeah, I can tell you like conversations I've had with people years and years and years ago. So it's like, it's blaringly obvious. It's been blaring obvious for me for a long time that there has been a concerted or conceited or both effort to shush things. Yeah, and I already had distrust because I was thrown out of school under really dubious circumstances. I was thrown under the bus there. I was thrown under the bus obviously by my abuser. I was thrown under the bus. Like, there have been people in positions of authority where normally people would, I guess, have trust and faith in the system. The police is another good example more recently. And my trust for the people that had positions of authority that kind of should have had a duty of care didn't stick to it. And I think it ties in with being a little bit autistic as well, and not grasping there's subtleties of stuff. I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I've only recently realised that you can say things like, so if someone texts you and says, I fancy a kebab, for example, that means that they're trying to say to you that they want to have food with you. Whereas, because I'm quite confident, well, confident's probably the wrong word, but yeah, maybe confident works in this example. Because I'm confident and a little bit autistic, I would message and go, do you want to meet up for a kebab? And it never dawned on me that people spoke between the lines, if that makes sense. Everything's more black and white with me, which makes me genuine, but which also makes me, I only recently realised, different to how other people communicate. One of my very, very good friends from back in the day, he said, you always get into disagreements with people, and maybe that's your fault, he said to me. I was like, cheeky bastard. I didn't say that. I thought it though. But just because I don't say it doesn't mean that. So this is a good example. So if I think something like, oh, he's a cheeky bastard, now I've got to the point where I don't have to say it. But where someone else might say, okay, this is a good example. So, and I learnt this from the TV show Swap Shop, believe it or not, on Netflix. So then, a few years ago, I would go, you cheeky bastard, or maybe a little less direct as that, but I would say like, you've pissed me off, or I would say, something like that, or I would say, you cheeky bastard. And then in Swap Shop, there was a guy, he would make a joke out of it. So he would say like, oh, you give an aspirin a headache. That's probably a bit too rude, but oh, you give an aspirin a headache. Yeah, it's a bit too rude. I'm basically proving my own point here, that I don't understand how subtleties are really spoken in. And I've also lost why I said I didn't want to go off on a tangent. I went off on a tangent. Ramblings of a genius or a madman. I'll let you decide. How the hell did I get onto that? 9/11. It's gone. No, I hate that. I was trying to build it up. I even knew that was going to happen. That's why I said I don't want to go off too much tangent. Sugar. Flipping heck. Well, anyway. Oh, God. You can tell I don't talk to anyone ever, can't you? Bloody hell. I literally talk to a computer screen. It's not even a computer. It's an iPad. I just talk to a screen on my own all the time. It actually does help. It actually does help. But I tried to post some of this stuff on Instagram, and I don't know whether that's the wrong forum for it, or whether it's just because I'm not getting any. One of my friends was like, I absolutely welcome having my views challenged, right? I love being open-minded. I can have strong, very, very strong opinions, but I think maybe this is where I was going with it, but it's because that's what I believe to be true. And I won't shy away from that. But if you present me a school of thought that challenges that and it's better, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's better. I'll amend it a little bit to that. My therapist once said it would make me a good academic because I'm happy to change my mind on stuff if something's better. Like if I'm saying that, I don't know, I've got a theory on something, and I've got a lot of theories. Like, I've got a lot of theories. But if you come to me and say, well, this is the reason why, and I don't mean based on necessarily on data, but I mean, if you come to me with a nuanced discussion about something, and it's better than the one that I had, and I think it's better than the one that I had, I think, all right, I think that's better than the one I had. Well, people don't do that. They get stuck on it for pride's sake. People don't like being wrong, and I like being wrong. I like it. I like being wrong because it's an exciting opportunity for growth. And that's the main thing I want, is the truth and harmony. Harmony, I guess. Truth is what I'm seeking, but I see harmony as the way that we all benefit. And we don't live in harmony now, and I think the telly's got a lot to do about that. And I think the people that control the telly, the people who have the money, that own the businesses that control the telly, that's who our system is run by, and they're all in bed together. All the people that run different industries are all in bed together. And the media is the one that manipulates minds, and I believe that it has been purposely targeted that way, purposely made that way. And for the reasons I said before, it's probably to do with control and natural resources, overpopulation, things like that. Things that we could never even grasp. And to be honest, I even got to a point where it was like, do you know what? Even if the COVID, for example, was a population control thing, maybe that was there. Maybe we don't have access to the information. Maybe it's like, okay, we have to kill off the old and the weak, because if we don't, in another 100 years, that means that half the world's population is going to die from, I don't know why they would, but maybe there's stuff that we're not privy to. And there's 100% stuff that we're not privy to. 1 bajillion. That's even more than bajillion percent. I didn't even say percent. I didn't even need the percent. Percent even isn't a thing in bajillions. What even is a bajillion? A bajillion. You're a bajillion phobe, bro. Hello? Is that the bajillionophobe? Yeah, it's for you, mate. Corn jelly. Oh, sorry. That was me. So, what are you going to do with me, eh? What are you going to do with me? I started off talking about Piers Morgan 44 minutes ago. And where's that 44 minutes gone? You can tell I don't leave the house very often. I went to the zoo yesterday. That was amazing. That was the best day of my life, I think. It was really amazing. If you're from Northwest, go to Chester Zoo and also buy the food at Chester Zoo if you can. If you can kind of afford it, just basically don't go on a night out. Don't waste your money on stuff that you don't need, like stuff to make you look cool in front of other people. Don't waste your money. Invest it into local businesses and your own businesses. I don't want to sound big-headed, and people close to me that I've said this to have ended up purposely, I felt purposely messed with after saying things like this. But if people would genuinely listen to me, I think that I could solve. I just think that if people just listened to me, everything would be better for everyone. Now, I don't know, is that because there's no such thing as a selfish act, right? Because if I'm giving a homeless person food because it makes me feel better. That's what someone said to me fairly recently. There's no such thing as a selfish act. So I'm saying, okay, but I want to better everyone. I want everyone to be better. I want every single person that's not good to be good. And that's probably because I've never had anyone to help me. So then I kind of want to go and help others because it's just pretty shit. So there's no such thing as a selfish act. But if my goal is to help other people, even if that's just to satisfy some sort of, I don't know, something that I'm missing in my fulfillment, it's still going to benefit the other person. So it benefits me and the other person. So a big thing of me is one of the things I want to do is help people, but not in the traditional sense. Anything in the traditional sense, I think, is misguided. I think the traditional sense is, where do we learn stuff? We learn stuff in school, but it seems that school was set up by the people that control the system, but they don't want them. They want the marginalised. Why do you think that there's homeless people? Do you not think that there's enough money There's enough money in Warrington to cure homelessness in Warrington? It's because it's not on the priority list of the government to help actually solve the problems. Because if they wanted to solve the problems, they could solve them. If they wanted people to stop dying from smoking-related deaths, which is topical for me at the moment because I'm smoking, because it's keeping me alive at the time, to be honest. So that gives me access to a normal life. But do you not think that if they wanted to cure that, they would just cure it? Or in terms of, do you not think that if they wanted to stop the deaths from alcohol, that they would just stop selling alcohol if it was that big a deal? Alright, well, why do they keep selling alcohol? Well, because it's fun. Would be the main argument. If people want to do it, yeah. But heroin's probably fun. Might be a facetious argument, that one. Alcohol's not a good one because people feel attacked then because they like drinking alcohol. But why is drinking alcohol not demonised? Okay, loads of people die from alcohol. Okay. But then we're not discouraged, really, to not drink alcohol. And if you're feeling a bit annoyed and don't like me now for saying that, you need to think why. So, going back to what I was saying earlier, the royal eye, if that's a thing, I can't say things about someone in the LG pride community. I can't say something about them if I wanted to, which I don't particularly want to, but if I wanted to, I can't question that they want to identify as whatever they want to identify as. But they can tell me what I can and can't say. which, by the way, what? And I've lost my bloody trail of thought again. Oh! Do you know how annoying that is? I was about to make my big crescendo of a point. Do you know how annoying that is? I've been speaking for 50 minutes and I all feel like it was for that moment or for that moment. And I've planted seeds in this conversation that I'm having with myself on a computer screen. But I just built up then to the end point. And then because I'm knackered, I've lost my thread of thought. Hell's bells. Talking about where we get our messages from, not believing the media, people that are in bed at the top, all the people with the money, they want the marginalised, not think that they could save these problems they wanted to, people taking things personally that I'm saying, the things I'm saying, why are you taking them personally? I'm so close, yet so far. Even if you don't, even if anyone ever gets to see this 51 minutes and 36 seconds in, even if you don't agree with everything I say, good. Well, kind of good, kind of not good, because it might be because you're still blinded by the lights of the system. But also, if you're not blinded by the lights of the system, yeah, and you are a little bit awakened and you are like open to, new schools of thought, and you still don't agree, that's good as well. Oh my god, I'm so tired, lost train of thought again. That was only like 30 seconds. I've got to stop this video now. Bloody hell. I just get lonely. I've not got the dogs tonight. Because they've just... you should see my house, man. It's not funny. Really not being able to keep on top of stuff. Trying to set up the businesses, deal with personal life, look after the dogs. Look after the baby as much as I can. And because I'm so ambitious and have such like high-minded ambitions, like I've setting up like e-commerce business, setting up car rental business, trying to learn Arabic, still trying to learn Spanish. Yeah. Trying to keep on top of the house, trying to get the house renovation finished, keeping the dogs alive, being a present father. That's what I said to someone earlier. I was just like, me being a present father as much as humanly possible in my situation right now is way more important than whether or not my bathroom's clean. Yeah, but help for me doesn't. It's not. It's more trouble than it's worth. But I've got to have some time. The dog's not here, and I really need to tidy up. I need to finish the dishes. I need to put the washer on. I need to do the bathroom. I need to start doing some jobs or book a plumber, book a decorator, book a joiner, finish the garden. It's like, but then, okay, right, I'm going to do that. I need to make more money. And then I want to get fit for rugby, I want to get fit for boxing. I need to do social media, because then I'll be able to sell boxing tickets. I need to do my e-commerce businesses, because I need to start, if I want to be super wealthy, then I need to be able to have more than one pie, more than one finger in more than one pie. And then keep on top of hitting my 5 rings. So athletic, creative, spiritual. I still got to meditate. I still got to yoga. I still got to exercise. And process mad shit like yesterday. Like, yeah, my when I'm upset, I feel sad or any intense anger or sadness, it always goes into my right hip flexor, which is the Eastern medicine side of stuff, where it's like your energy centers, your chakras, which, by the way, like, it's been that way for thousands of years in other parts of the world for a reason. I really want to drive up to the scout hut where I was abused as well, try and get some closure. Which is another good example of an organisation that abuses its power. And I'm not saying that the Scouts is like, don't come for me now, Scouty boys, Scouty girls, Scouting for girls, buddy, you beaver, you big beaver. Just saying, man, like, anywhere where there's kids and adults and they say that they're for good, some of them will be. Most of them will be. Not all of them will. And there's a really gay priest a few months ago as well. Just like dudes, right? Learn how to communicate. There's a good one for all the guys out there, all the dudes. Regardless of your sexuality, but specifically in relation to men who are closeted, learn how to communicate. And for all men, even in dealings with women or what you want to deal with, learn how to communicate. Learn how to feel confident and to communicate. Don't, like, touch my willy under any circumstance. And that's not just when I was a kid. Yeah, this is what I was saying the other day about, oh yeah, this good-looking person that's well off is complaining again. Yeah, man. Fucking maybe I am. And maybe if you understood why I was complaining, then maybe you'd feel a little bit of empathy. How many times have you had someone try to fuck you? A dude. And overstepped the boundary. How many times has that happened to you? I've had my boundaries overstepped in ranging levels of intensity. Double figures, probably. And in the nicest sense, if I was ugly, I don't know that would necessarily be the case. My therapist once said, it's like, I used to find it really uncomfortable because I'm an empath, because of my background and hypervigilance danger. I ended up being an empath. So I can see social cues, right? I can't. So I always find it really awkward going out and just being stared at all the time. After I got my nose done as well and lost weight. And you would think that, so this is why celebrity is just not what you want to chase. It's really not. And I know I'm not a celebrity yet, but like, it's not. Being good looking presents, I would suggest, more problems than it fixes. I would definitely say that. In life, right, what you want to strive for is like 7 out of 10 on everything. Comfortability, wealth, looks. You want to be 7 out of 10 as much as possible on as many different things as possible. It's a poison chalice, man. Don't get it twisted. Just because Hollywood says different, it's bullshit. And you have to have it to know that. How many people do you think some of the worst things that have ever happened to me in my life, where I've nearly not made it through them, because I've been good looking, because I've had a wealth family. On more than one occasion, I've had Moroccan gangsters scoping out my house with a pregnant wife and my 2 dogs, scoped out by Moroccan gangsters because we were in a nice house. That doesn't happen if you're not in a nice house. So, how many times has a Moroccan gangster come to your door, the person that's watching this? Or how many times have you ever had to approach Moroccan gangsters to then play a sort of... So what I was saying before about not knowing subtleties, but I also can think quickly on my feet, right? So there were Moroccan gangsters scoping out the house, and I noticed them. Because I'm an empath, because I'm hypervigilant danger, I saw these people waiting around the house on a number of occasions. I was like, that's weird. There was a guy just sat at the end of the driveway watching his phone. I was like, that's weird. Keep an eye on that for a few days. Kept happening, right? And then they started getting closer, and then they tried to see if my dog was aggressive, and then I heard them whistling from the road, trying to see if the dogs were aggressive, trying to see if they were friendly or not, right? That wouldn't have happened if there wasn't a nice house. So how many times have you been under serious physical danger, serious physical danger, in a house that's not in the sticks, but it's sort of set back from the road, with the only things that have ever meant anything to you in your whole life, really: wife, unborn baby, and 2 dogs. Like, there is nothing apart from my ambitions, but there are no ambitions without family, right? And then all of that be under threat. And this is what I'm saying. So I realised that this was happening, and this is where I can think on my feet. And I heard them whistling. So I'd seen this happening. I managed to take the dog away so that I didn't have any sort of interaction with the people. I then heard them whistling, and I jumped in the car, ragged it down the drive, I ragged it around the road to get round to the road where they were, because they were on the other side. It's got quite a big garden. And I stopped the car, and I said to them, "Estás buscando por un pastor alemán," which means, are you looking for a German Shepherd? Because I knew that I couldn't say, why the fuck are you whistling at my dogs? But I also then couldn't say, no, what would be a subtle way of, like... I wanted them to know that I'd seen them. I wanted to not create it into... I wanted to not exacerbate the problem. I didn't want to have a kick-off. So I had to think of something original that was completely off the wall. Whereas someone else might have been able to be like, oh, let me think of an example. See, I'm not that good at thinking of an example. Can I help you with something? Maybe. But I knew that I had to send them completely off the scent, so I knew I had to come up with something really creative. It just kind of came to me. I had it once as well when, this sounds bad, I was smoking a doobie in my car, driving with my mate Carol Stepanowski, and I stopped in the road because it was the middle of the night, and I was lying in the doob, and a policeman pulled up next to us, and I said, "Excuse me, can you tell me the way to Stockton Heath, please?" which is the posh bit where we live. And he said, "Oh yeah, it's just down there, and be on your way, posh boys." So I can do it when I'm not thinking, but I can't do it when I'm thinking. If I have to engage, why is that not weird? That's weird, that, isn't it? if it's in a situation where I'm disassociating and I'm just acting on instinct, I can send people off the scent. On my toes. It just comes from somewhere. God, probably. Because how much free will do we really have? But then if I'm having just a normal conversation with someone, I can't seem to be anything other than genuine. I don't know if that's a gift or a curse. It can feel like a curse, really, to be honest. I feel like there's not a lot of people that live in just like live on their own all the time. And like, misunderstood, I guess. I don't know. I definitely am on the vibe at the moment that people don't really like to have me around because I make them feel bad about themselves. Because obviously if I don't lie or I don't drink and I don't manipulate, apart from Moroccan gangsters and policemen in 2007. It's just feel like maybe if I was a bit, I don't know, I try to just pick my words when I talk about sensitive subjects because I don't want my meaning to get misconstrued. So I can be really good at being really direct and knowing exactly the word to give the exact message of what I'm thinking and saying. So I can do it that way around, but I can't do it the other way where I then go into like bit more mysterious. Like, that's why I was never any good at talking to girls on apps, on whatever they're called. What is it called? Not Twitter. What's it called? What's that app called where you do the swiping? Tinder. I could never talk to girls on stuff like that. Because there was no innuendo. There's no innuendo in things that I say, not sexual. There's no innuendo. There's no alternate. You can't, you know where you stand. But those people that it's like, I'll just say it how it is. They can be bellends though, can't they? It's not that I don't have a filter because I can be choiceful with my words. Especially when it's important, when I don't want them to get misunderstood. But then I can have no filter as well at times. Fucking hell. Sorry, excuse my French, but what am I here for, really? This is what I'm saying. Like, it looks from the outside like so easy, I guess. Or just, okay, you want to be articulate. Okay, you want to be good looking. Okay, you want to not have to worry about money. But then, like, there's so much other shit that comes with these things that we think are as good. That's why, like, 7 out of 10 for everything. Honestly, you are the most lucky people. Man, you don't want to be a celebrity. Those guys are weirdos. You don't want to be super good looking because people want something of you. Sexually. Or otherwise. When we live in a society where other people want something from you, that's when you can attract unsavory people. And those unsavory people can be really, really good liars. And you find that out the hard way. Honestly, if you were 7 out of 10, you don't understand like the pure, the gold. The gold isn't in money. The gold is in comfortability. The gold is in simplicity. And I can say, I can hang my hat on the fact that my life is anything but simple. And you know what? That's the cost to be the boss, in inverted commas. That's the cost of the things that I've been gifted. And that's the balance in the world. Everyone's balanced. If you've got something that others want, or if you've got something that can be perceived as positive, you have to pay for it karmically in something else. So like, there isn't actually, I was going to say there's no envy really, because there's no one to be envious of, because we've all got balance. That's karma. It's like when you create a character at the beginning of a game, you got a certain amount of points that you can add and subtract to. A good example is Tiger Woods 2004 golf. And you can choose power, spin, accuracy, putting, long game, short game, and you have, I don't know, say 100 points in which to attribute to these attributes. Yeah, I did double up that word. But in life, it feels like before we come down to the physical plane, the human existence, it feels like, to me at least, in order to get one token of power or one token to be used, I don't mean power, I mean like spin, accuracy. If you get one token to be used on one thing, you've also, how you get that one token is by paying with something that might be not necessarily positively connotated, more than likely negatively. And if you do get loads of one good one, you still have to pay for that karmically. Yeah, man, I think there's way more to this than we have any idea. And I don't think good-looking girls are very happy. I think they're the most insecure. I don't know about good-looking boys, but boys can be kind of stupid, can't they? And being an empath and being a boy just means you don't fit in with boys particularly, you don't fit in with girls particularly, you don't fucking fit in anywhere. That's what I was saying before about rubbing people up the wrong way. Yeah, it's just that I'll get drawn into conversations with people because I'm being genuine. Even if I'm trying to be choiceful, I'm still being genuine. What is it? Why is it that I can say things that I can be choiceful with my language about getting the word right for the right meaning, for the right thing that I'm trying to say, but then I can't do that for subtlety? Why does my brain not get that subtlety? Like, how can I say, like, why do I have to learn that from Swap Shop to make a joke out of something instead of saying the thing? Or another example, I said to a girl, a young girl and a mum got in an elevator with us. It's always really awkward in an elevator, so I always try and make conversation with people. And she had really cool hair. She'd obviously been on holiday, and I went, "Oh, I really like your hair. That's really cool." And the mum gave me the dirtiest look I've ever had, and I thought, man, she obviously thinks awful things right now. And I was just trying to be nice to your kid because I used to have 2 nieces. I miss them, and she's like, I know how to talk to kids. It happened to me in the park the other day in Morton Gardens. We were talking to another dad, and his kid came over. There was 2 kids, a little one and a bigger one, and the bigger one came over after because the baby was a baby in, and the other one came over and he was 6, and I was already talking to his dad, and then the kid goes, "Oh, I was just talking." I was like, "Oh, how old are you then, mate?" And he went, "I'm 5." And he went, "No, you're not. You're 6." And he went, "No, I'm not. Because I used to play this game with my nieces." He went, "No, I'm not. I'm 6." And I was like, "No, you're not. You're 7." He went, "No, I'm not." And the dad just fucking basically almost gripped the kid and just walked off and didn't even make eye contact with me after that. I was like, "Wow, mate, I feel well judged right now." But even that, like, and I said it to my neighbour as well. I said, she's with the granddaughter, and I said to the granddaughter, "Oh, I like your pajamas," because she had cool leopard skin pajamas on. And then my neighbour stopped making eye contact with me, and I was like, "Oh God, I've done it again." And then actually, I did save that one, unbeknownstly to me, because then a few days later, she came out wearing these blue shoes and went, "Oh, well, I like your shoes." I didn't even clock. I just said it because I like the shoes. And then I was like, "Oh, good. At least now she knows I'm confident in that thing because it's just a cool thing." But that's the thing of like, I don't. When people say something to get in close, people will say some things to people because they want something from that person. That's like manipulative, isn't it? Like if someone says to a woman with blue shoes, "I like your blue shoes," I think it might appear that most people think that's because I would want the woman wearing the blue shoes to feel like I'm interested in her for something. Nah, mate, I just like shoes. Yeah, I'm definitely a little bit autistic. I think that must be that. This is a well long video. I think this is the longest one I've done. Yeah, I don't get that. Why would I say to it? Why would I say to? Oh, maybe that's why I was not very good at talking on Tinder, because I was just like, either I'm just being nice. It's like, "Hi, how are you? What are you doing? Where you from, or whatever." That's my game. Or yeah, I don't know. Or like I've spoken about this on here before about want if I've got a, it's a good example. I like WWE. I like 90s and 2000s WWE wrestling because I like 90s WWE wrestling. It's a bit different now because it's a lot of dudes running around with no clothes on, which I never really used to see. To be honest, I don't always see that when I'm watching it. You just see, yeah, it's weird. But until you clock, and then you're like, "Hang on a minute, there's 4 dudes in that ring. None of them have got any clothes on." Let's fast forward the rest of this match. This is kind of weird. But I like the wrestling because I like the wrestling. I like the characters, or whatever. I like it because I like it. But you'll get people that like things because they want to appear to like the thing. Like if they like philosophy, it's because they want to appear intellectual. Oh no, I like philosophy because I like thinking deeply. I like being philosophical. That's why I don't want to appear to be philosophical. And what would be the benefit of wanting to? What would be the benefit of appearing to be philosophical or appearing to be intellectual? What would be the benefit of appearing to be something? The only benefit is of being the thing. Because if you only appear to be the thing, then people are going to realize that you're not the thing, and then they're going to be like, either they think you're disingenuous or fake or whatever, or like, what's another good example? Yeah, if I like something, it's because I like it. So, birds. I like birds because I like birds. Animals. I like animals because I like animals. Flowers. I like flowers because I like flowers. Like I don't like. Or I had pink boxing gloves because I like the colour, which is a bit different now because that's now become a popular thing. Yeah, that's a really good example. Okay, so flowers. I really like flowers. I've built Bird City in the back of my garden because I like birds. But someone else might think that, no, that means that I'll look like an old man, which then won't be conducive to whatever I'm trying to gain or show. I'm not trying to fucking show anything. I'm just trying to like birds. If I was trying to get something, I'd say, can I have that, please? And I'd even put the please on it. Yeah. Well, I like flowers. I don't care if that makes me look like an old lady or or a homosexual man. Like, so, like, why does that even matter? Because I'm not an old lady. I'm not an old homosexual man. So why does it? Why would it? Why do old ladies like flowers? Do old ladies like flowers because other old ladies like flowers? Oh, mind blown. Does it work like that? I like boxing because I like boxing. I don't like the blood sport side of boxing particularly. It feels like ego and head trauma. But I love doing it. And I like the emotional attachment to the fighters like in WWE wrestling. It doesn't even enter into my mind that if I like boxing, then that'll make me something that'll then get me something. Other than fit and healthy and able to handle myself. But that's not perception wise. That's tangible, isn't it? I love doing it. Why do I like boxing? Because I love doing it. It makes me healthier. And it made me feel safer. But not because of so I do things because of what I want to get out of it. Because I do want to be healthier, and I did want to feel safer. But it's not to do with perception of what that'll then get other people to think about me. Like, do people wanna appear to so I sometimes feel judged about the whole boxing thing because there are some Machiavellian type males that like boxing. So then other Machiavellian types want to look like they're a Machiavellian type. So other tough guys want to look like they're a tough guy. I think it's to do with other people's perception of the person that will be doing the thing. But then how can I be an empath? How can I feel what? How can I not get this? It just doesn't even factor into my consideration to not do something if I like it because of how it might affect how someone else sees me. I think. Yeah, how someone sees me. Because I try not to be judgmental. But I have when I'm in the past been judgmental. I had to learn not to do that. Judge and be judged. So I want to look like I'm into philosophy. For what? So that people think that I'm into philosophy, so that people think I'm intellectual. For what? For what? Okay, and in terms of the Machiavellian type below, I want to look like I'm into I want to be into boxing so that I look like I'm into boxing, so that other people think that I'm a tough guy. For what? To feel more safe? No, because I guarantee the majority of people like that don't do it to feel more safe. They do really, but they don't realise that they do that for that. Most chavs, in inverted commas, like bad ones, they don't realise that comes from a place of insecurity and fear. So why do they do it then? So they can be more like other bad boys. But that's not true, because when I used to smoke weed, I wanted people to know that I liked smoking weed. I had pictures of socks. I had socks with pictures of weed on it. No, that's not true. I remember shout out Will Collins. He laughed at me once because I was wearing my weed socks at an after party, rolling a joint. And he laughed at me because I said, someone said, yeah, you love weed, don't you? And I was like, yeah, look at my socks, I'm not lying. And he laughed and said, I'm not lying. Because I wanted to make sure that people didn't think I was lying, because I wasn't lying, and I didn't like it when people thought that I was lying. But why would someone think that I was lying? And it goes into the same thing. I must have been struggling with this shit for years, about not having the same sort of perceptive. Oh no, man! There's a few. I'm a few irons short of a pipe. That's a joke. A few forks short of a toolbox. A few marbles short of a box. Oh, I know why I've gone less tired. I had Diet Coke earlier. Caffeine's hit me. I nearly hit the 1.5 hour mark. Jesus Christ, think of the cool things I could have done in an hour and a half. An hour and 29 minutes and 25 seconds. At least I won't have a hangover. At least I have something to show for it. I will have something to show for it. That is a good point about sobriety. Doing shit like that, I got more time to do stuff like this. Not having like friends to like go out and do stuff with, or like people. is that I am left to my own devices, which is really, really good, but also, to be fair, I haven't walked the dogs today, so I've not trained today as well, so I'm not as drained as I might otherwise be. This is what I'm saying, man. If you live a life like a normal life, and you don't have any like responsibilities, like big ones. Firstly, maybe think about getting some because it'll make you grow. But secondly, there isn't all that much excuse to not be like into loads of stuff and like bettering yourself. And like, I'm dragging my carcass through stuff at the minute to get stuff done. I'm like dragging my carcass, it feels like. I was nearly crying earlier because I was in so much pain in my leg. I was just like, right, the only thing I've got to do is just sit here and stretch it. I was like, I really don't want to stretch it, but I've got to, because otherwise I'm just going to be in pain. It's just going to fuck me. But like, everyone has the opportunity. I understand that the flexibility of being an entrepreneur affords me opportunities that I've missed out on quite a few steps. But that also has given me the time, the flexibility, and the nuanced understanding of things from a different perspective to be actually like, oh, actually, we should definitely unmarginalise the marginalised through education and lowering the bottom rung, because that'll then mean that more people can be in a situation where they can think for themselves, or they can pursue things that can benefit themselves and others. But they can't because they have to work a shitty job for shitty pay, for shitty people, to spend on shit that they don't need or want, really. Because they're doing it to how it'll appear rather than because they like it. And this is a really... okay, this ties in with something I was thinking the other day. I saw a woman with a Morris dancing thing off. I love it when people have niche hobbies. There's an electrician, Phil, he's really the sound guy. He's really into go-kart racing. I was like, that's so cool. Do you know why I think that's cool? Because it's genuine. He likes go-kart racing because he likes go-kart racing. Or a woman with a Morris dancing team. She just likes Morris dancing. She does not go appear about looking cool. I just do it because I enjoy doing it. That's cool. That's the difference. Okay, now I'm tired. It's going to be mad. Like, no one really watches these now, but they are going to in future. Maybe then I can help fix the world's problems, eh? Maybe then you'll listen to me. But until then, I'm going to cuddle this lion and not put Piers Morgan back on. Scumbag. It's not okay to talk about people when they're not there. I'm just making an exception of Piers Morgan because he's getting away with it over and over and over and over. And I should leave that to God and karma, because that's how it works. It's one of the Psalms, either 70 or 87, I think. Don't go and seek revenge because God's got your back, bro. God has got your back. And if you try and have if you have a froward mouth, which means you gossip or you talk about Piers Morgan on YouTube videos, that is then you're going to create the bad karma on yourself. Just try and be the bigger person. Because when you are, you'll get a good karma back from the bad karma that's been dished out, and vice versa. So, salam alaikum. Goodbye, internet. And salam alaikum. Peace be upon you. Inshallah, God willing.